Hey guys, welcome to this week's review of Love and Marriage Huntsville. So the episode starts off with Tisha and what the hell is her name? What the hell is her name? I know it starts with an M. All these Melody. Tisha and Melody, they meet they meet at Melody's house for a little conversation. They're hanging out, which is I'm really happy to see that because I couldn't take another season of Melody and Tisha fighting. I mean, I only started to watch last season and I'm already over it. And Tisha has the habit of holding grudges, so I'm glad that she was able to move forward and they were able to have that little kiki moment. But I'm going to be a little bit honest with you. If somebody talked about my marriage the way that Melody talked about Tisha's marriage and tried to imply that my husband is cheating on me, and low-key, can we just also be real, I wouldn't be surprised if Marcel was cheating on Tisha. Let's just be real here. But anyways, that's besides the point. If someone keeps implying that my husband is cheating and I'm not in the space to hear it, I would not be talking about my relationship to that person. Even if we've moved forward, it would take some time. Now, I know that the producers probably push them to have certain conversations, right? So that they can have a scene, but I would be really, really uncomfortable to talk about my relationship, let alone any problems that I may be having, because I feel like, I don't know, Melody may use that against her later on, right? I don't know. Maybe Melody is in a better place. Probably the reason she was coming for Tisha and Marcel for like that was because she was going through a difficult time in her own marriage. And we all know the saying, misery loves company. So now that she's in a better place, she's not going to comfort Tisha's marriage like that. But I also feel with Melody, I don't know, I do feel like she knows something, right? And she may kind of put her foot in her mouth because she wants to help Tisha be enlightened, just like she has been enlightened this past year with her marriage with Martel. So I don't know, right? Hopefully I'm completely wrong. So Tish talks about a relationship, how they don't really spend a lot of romantic time together. It's just been work. And I hope it's just been work, and not work, cheat, work, cheat, work, cheat, work, cheat. I hope that's not the scenario, right? But I don't know, with these men on these shows, they're terrible. I'm sorry. They're terrible, so I would not be surprised. Now, we know that on the blogs they said that Marceau had another kid out there. And their argument is, if Marceau had a kid out there, right, it would have been revealed by now, right? It would have been out in the open. And I don't know, sometimes you hear these rumors and there's no truth to them, right? And sometimes the saying is true, where there's smoke and fire, right? Just because I guess people think that, I was watching Funky's review and he was saying that in this day and age, if Marcel cheated on somebody, right, and they had a baby, in this day and age, people want their 15 minutes of fame. They're going to come forward. Unless you're paying them a lot of money, right? And he feels like Marcel doesn't have that kind of money to shut them up. But at the end of the day, I don't know. Everybody's different. Yes, there are a lot of people looking for that 15 minutes of fame, but not everybody is, right? Not everybody's looking for that moment. Especially, we don't know. This person could be a doctor. This person could work at McDonald's. This person could work anywhere, right? They just don't want that attention on them. They don't want that scrutiny on them. They don't want to be part of the show, right? And they know that if they come out, they're probably going to get a lot of hate. They're probably going to get a lot of criticism. So they don't want to do that. So they rather just be quiet, right? And maybe they're also thinking of their child. If Marceau allegedly has this child and he is providing for them financially, right? Maybe maybe it's not a lot, but it's enough to kind of just not ruffle any feathers, right? Allegedly, allegedly, allegedly. So we never know. We never know, right? But a man cheating is not too far fetched for me. So Martel goes to visit his mom because she saw a snake. So he's putting out snake repellent. Unfortunately, the snake repellent is not that great because it didn't repel him. Okay, sorry, that was a lame joke. But you know, he's a cold-hearted snake, right? We know that. We know that. So he's talking to his mom about the interaction that he had with Melody's mom, right? She was a bit cold with him. She even said that she needs to talk to him, and he picked up a little bit of an attitude, and then she was like, you know what, forget it, you know? And the mom, Martel's mom, I mean, on one hand, I get what she's trying to say, where it's none of their business, right? It's the relationship is between Melody and Martel. But I don't know, when you do something like what Martel did, you not only affect Melody, right? You affect the children, you affect the grandparents, you affect the whole entire family, right? And I understand the viewpoint of just mind your business because you're going to make it things worse. At the end of the day, they're not together anymore, but they still have to co-parent, and you don't want to make it a hostile situation. I totally get that, but the callous in which Martel and his mom were speaking on Melody's mom, like she was ridiculous to have an issue with Martel, like, you could at least be like, I don't want her talking to me. There's nothing we need to discuss, even though I understand why she would be upset, right? If someone cheats on your daughter and has an outside baby, come on, you're gonna feel a type of way, right? And I think if you have any sort of self-respect, you would humble yourself and have that conversation and apologize to Melody's mother for hurting her daughter. Do you have to do that? No, you don't have to. But I just think in order to move forward with the family, you need to give her that. And she can either accept that or not, because Melody's mom is going to have to move forward too, right? But at least she can feel like, okay, he has acknowledged the pain that he's caused. And Martella, at this point, he hasn't really done that, right? And seeing how his mother is, I feel like maybe he was raised in an environment where he could do no wrong. He was always right, right? There was always an excuse for him. So there's no reason for him to take accountability, and it's quite sad. That being said, I think Melody's mom should just keep her distance from him at this point, because he has zero interest of taking any sort of accountability. So Jalen meets up with Marceau. Jalen is Maurice's son, right? And Jalen runs Marceau's restaurant, or a cigar bar, Black, right? And watching this last season, how did I know this was gonna happen? How did I know, right? It's just, you can't. It's like you have all this expectations for Jalen, right, on how you want him to run the bar, but he has no experience, and you're not there to help guide him, right? And I'm not sure, but it seems like this is Marceau's first time owning a restaurant as well. So he himself doesn't have the experience, I'm assuming, right? So how is Jalen supposed to learn, right? You just don't know. You just don't learn how to be a restaurateur on day one, right? Or run a restaurant. You need experience. You need to make mistakes, right? But it's an awkward situation because it's not like you're a waiter, right? Where you can kind of maybe take the back seat and observe how things are run. You're the one that's running the whole entire place. So if you make a mistake, the stakes are so much higher, right? And you have no one to turn to. You have no one to ask questions. You have no one to give you guidance. That must be extremely, extremely stressful. And it almost like you're being set up for failure, right? So I'm glad that Jalen said, "Hey, you need to hire somebody that has experience running a restaurant so that they can train me, because you guys aren't really here to help, and low key I feel like they don't even know what they're doing like that, right?" And that's my thing with Marceau. Like, people like him, but I don't know. I don't know. He's very great with words. I think he's very great at presenting himself as authoritative. But when it comes to the work, when it comes to the action, I feel like the actions are not there. It's just all words. It's all presentation with him. Same with Maurice, right? They want to look like the big boss, but they don't do the work of the big boss. They just hand it off to other people and expect them to figure it out. And when they don't, they can lord over them and give them advice on how to do it. But where were you? Right? Were you actually helping people and teaching people and guiding people? Were you getting your hands dirty to get the job done? No, you weren't. Right? I mean, he should have been hired somebody more experienced. But I think what it was, one, it's trust, right? And it's money. If you hire somebody that is experienced, you're going to have to pay them the money, right? Where Jalen, you can kind of fool around with him, right? Because he's your nephew. You can kind of play games with his money. But someone that knows what they're doing, you can't play games with them. Plus, you don't, at the end of the day, you're a stranger, right? I mean, they're a stranger, so you don't trust them. So at the beginning, you kind of have to follow behind them and watch what they're doing. So that means that you can't really focus on your other ventures you have going on, because you have to kind of watch them to make sure that they're legit. So I think at the end of the day, he was just sort of thinking about what was easy for him, but not thinking about Jalen. So I'm glad that Jalen was able to voice what he wanted, right? And he said it on camera. So Maurice has to, I mean, not Maurice, Marceau has to figure that out for him, right? And I just don't think that they should be rushing to open up another Black in Houston if they haven't really figured out how to run this place. Like, they've been open for 5 months, and they're saying, well, it is doing good, but there's still some stuff we need to figure out. Well, if you haven't figured out that stuff yet, I just don't think you should be opening another restaurant, especially in this climate, right? Take a while, at least a year, get your business where it needs to be before you just take on more ventures. Like, look at Candy and how her restaurants are doing. Now that could just be a storyline for the upcoming reality show that she's gonna have on OLG, right? Which is gonna be like Vanderpump Rules, right? I doubt it, because if the restaurant closes down, then there's no reality show. But I don't know, these celebrities or reality stars, they just want to open up a bunch of stuff, and they think that, oh, because my name is attached to this restaurant, that people are going to show up, that people are going to come. And yes, that is true, but that's not going to make them come back, right? At the end of the day, and I guess Marceau was talking about this as well. It's about, what's the pricing, the quality of the beverages, the quality of the food. There's just so much more to running a restaurant. Most restaurant and bars do fail, so you really have to be on top of it. And your celebrity name is only going to take you so far. So, Martel meets with Melody's mom. And Melody's mom, wow, she has a lot of patience. And I'm really, if it had been anybody else, right? Like, Melody's mom is very mature, She is looking out for her grandchildren. And at the end of the day, that's the most important thing, is the grandchildren, right? You don't want any beefing and stressing to affect the children, because at the end of the day, they're innocent in all this. So they shouldn't be the one taking the most damage. When Melody's mom was speaking about why she was hurt by Martel, and the main reason was him going to social media and airing her out, right? Unnecessarily. I just wanted Martel in that moment to just apologize and say, you know what, I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry that, I put you guys in this situation, but the marriage, wasn't healthy, it wasn't working, and I stepped out and I'm sorry. That's all he really had to say. But of course, Martel, he avoids taking responsibility for his part in the demise of the marriage, right? Which is a pretty major part. Now, are we saying that Melody never did anything wrong? Right? That Melody wasn't toxic? No, right? We're not saying that. But at the end of the day, you are responsible for your own actions, right? So just take accountability for it and move on. And I hope that Melody's mom doesn't keep arguing with him about this, because Martel, he wants to put it all on Melody at the end of the day, right? Um, by the end of the interaction, he did apologize, which I'm proud of Martel for doing, right? Because I thought he was just gonna keep going the way he was going. But still, he does too much. He does too much, and he doesn't want to own it. So, with someone like that, you said what you had to say. There's no point to keep dragging it on, because it's just gonna cause problems, right? Be cordial with him, say hi and hello, but keep him at a distance. That's just what it's gonna be until he is willing to really own what he's done. There's only so far you can really go with Martel. So Destiny has a birthday party. She invites all the ladies. They come except Tisha because she has business in Houston. Melody invites the new girl Tiffany, right? Now, when we were introduced to her and her husband earlier on in the episode, I was like, okay, this could be interesting. It's nice to see a new couple on the show, right? And can I just say this? It's kind of weird that she threw a surprise wedding for her husband. I mean, I wouldn't do that. I mean, were they even engaged first, or did the wedding kind of just happen? That's a little weird to me, but you know what? That's none of my business. Let her do what she does. From what I've seen from a 2-second clip, I do like them, right? I do like their interaction. I do like her husband. They do seem like, from that 2-second clip, that they would be a good addition to the show. But I changed my mind. I changed my mind at Destiny's birthday party. The way Tiffany was carrying on. And for me, I'm going to be honest, this is the problem that I'm having with a lot of these reality television shows, particularly the Real Housewife. And Carlos King, we know, is the producer of the show, right? And we know his style. And this is kind of the issue that I'm having. The new people, they come on, and to me, they're not authentic. Like in real life, you wouldn't move that way. You're only moving this way because there's a camera there. You've been coached by the producers to bring something to the table, right? Because you want to get another season. So you just throw everything that's out there and hoping that something sticks, right? And it's just, to me, it's like I can see the gears moving in your head. Like, you can be messy, you can play the game, you can self-produce a little bit, but I don't want to see it. Or at least it shouldn't be so obvious. When it's so obvious to what you're doing, it kind of just, it takes me out of the show, and it just breaks the fourth wall for me. Because we know that in real life, you wouldn't say something like that, right? You wouldn't. Her bringing up, Monster vaping in the bathroom. Why would you do that, right? That's just so low down and dirty to me, because you're speaking on a child. You're not speaking on an adult. If you're speaking on an adult, that's one thing, but you're speaking on a child. So for you to speak on a child, that shows me you're the type of person that you're going to say whatever you need to say just to have a moment, right? And if I'm filming a show, right, and I'm building a cast, I want there to be genuine relationships there. But when you move like that, you're just the kind of person where I'm not going to tell you anything, right? If I'm a cast member, I'm not even going to want to build a relationship with you because you're so messy. And that just creates this constant fighting, this constant drama that eventually just gets boring and tired after a while. Like, look at the Encore where Carlos King also produces, right? It was cute at the beginning to have the twins, beefing with everybody, right? But then it just gets to a certain point where it's exhausting. We need a balance. We need levels. I don't mind a little bit of mess. Like Melody, she can be a little bit messy here and there, but you don't get the vibe that she is overly malicious. Now Tiffany, I don't know. I'm just not feeling her. And then you're at someone's birthday party, right? And you kind of allude to the fact that her husband was cheating on her birthday. And she just got this divorce. Like, how cruel and insensitive could you be? And even if you could say, well, I just put my foot in my mouth. Sometimes we misspeak, right? Sometimes we misjudge the moment. You're not even apologetic. You think she's being dramatic, right? And overly sensitive. After you basically implied that her husband was cheating on her, right? And it's not like it's a surprise. It's not like she didn't know. But you've now aired her business in front of everybody, in front of the cameras. And especially how Destiny has been moving, she seems like a very private person, right? Or she doesn't want everybody in her business. She'd even tell her BFF Melody that she was getting a divorce. So clearly this is a very touchy subject for her. So I don't know. It's just I don't like that. I don't. Because it's not, if Tiffany kind of had this conversation privately with Melody, right? Then I would be like, okay, it's messy, but I understand that in real life, this conversation would happen, right? If you're with your friend and you're kikiing, you're going to speak on the moment of like, oh, wait, yeah, I do know her because I remember this and this happened, right? It would be messy, but it would still give a moment. And then, Melody would go back to Destiny and tell her what Tiffany said, and then they would have a moment. Something like that, right? Yes, it's a little bit contrived, but it's a bit more organic to me, right? And we as the audience, we're still getting the tea. That's how you do it. But for you to just say this directly to the girl on her birthday, oh, it's just really, 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 really sloppy to me. It's really sloppy. And at first, I was kind of looking at Destiny, sideways, like, how come you're not telling Melody these things? How come you're not opening up to Melody, right? And I could understand where Melody is coming from, where she's like, oh, I thought we're friends and everything, right? How come she's not telling me these things? But the way that the way that Melody acted at Destiny's birthday party, I now see why Destiny doesn't really open up to her like that, right? Like, she'll have a moment with her when it comes to the cameras, but she's not gonna really let her into, into her business, right? Because when Tiffany spilled this tea, right, Melody wasn't like, okay, now Tiffany, you're way out of line, you need to stop, right? She was kind of digging into it more and kind of was asking more questions. Kimmy too, because at the end of the day, they're like, well, I didn't bring it up, you know, Tiffany brought it up, but at the end of the day, we're filming here, so we need to make a scene. So we're gonna keep asking questions and digging. You can clearly see that Destiny is uncomfortable with this whole situation. And if someone is your real friend, you know, they should have shut it down. Melody should have shut it down. She could have cussed Tiffany out and put Tiffany in her place. And guess what? That still would have been a scene. That still would have been interesting, right? And then at least Tiffany would maybe be a little bit more apologetic. But they were all laughing and kikiing and, you know, like getting pleasure out of Destiny's pain. So I don't blame Destiny for not sharing anything with Melody. I wouldn't either. The way Melody is acting, she was definitely getting pleasure out of this whole entire situation. So, like I said, I understand these shows, they need to give a moment, but there is a way to do it that comes off a little bit more authentic. Because this is just a mess to me. I'm not feeling this new girl, Tiffany. I hope that the next episode she is apologetic, right? And she doesn't have an attitude, but from the confessionals, we see that she does have an attitude. So we'll see. So that's everything, guys. This was a good episode. A lot happened. You know, I'm looking forward to the next. I just hope that, you know, with Carlos King, he's good at bringing out drama, but like I said, these shows need to have a balance, right? And it needs to come out authentic. So that's everything, guys. See ya.